Hello, my name is Sharon Lynch, and the date is 10/6/2012. This is a speech about John F. Kennedy that took place in Houston, Texas in 1962. He talks in his speech about space exploration and how he wants to put a man on the moon or go to Venus. Mr. Kennedy was bound and determined to put a man on the moon and put space exploration project from a dream to reality. He states in the early 1900s that we've come a long way, from cars to printing presses to electricity to telephones to computers to even penicillin. With this space program, he wants to produce $60 million worth of jobs in the Houston area. That's construction workers, housing, schools, hospitals, scientists, mathematicians, for the NASA program. I'm sorry President Kennedy didn't get to see a man on the moon. The first man on the moon was Neil Armstrong. At reference NASA.gov. Now in 2012, our space program is dwindling, and our government is cutting programs for privately funded and no longer needed in today's world. President Kennedy was serious about his speech, with his hands on the podium and looking straight at his audience. He was stern, he was strong, and his whole speech took 17 minutes. He had good eye contact and focus on the audience the whole entire time. He was strong. He glanced down at his notes from time to time. And I thought he went over statistics on past space programs and how this would be much better than previous space missions. The ex-president also went into the space budget and how the money would be used for the next several years for better space rockets, better technology to put our man into space and then bring him home safely. He was serious about his speech and never cracked a smile on the podium. Just spoke from his heart about his passion for life and the love of space. I felt like he was going a little overboard at times, talking about the same thing over and over. He really didn't have much action in his voice, though the speech was boring and had issues following what he was trying to say. The audience was bored and not really in tune to what he was saying. I don't really think the audience really believed that the idea that a bunch of people could really fly a man to the moon, or Venus for that matter. Some of the people looked like he was a nut with such big high hopes and dreams of so-called the space program. Most of the audience were men and women. And it must have been unbearably hot because most of the people were wiping sweat from their heads and necks. And some were just lighting up cigarettes. Now you don't see that anymore in the public events. I thought that watching a speech that was 50 years old was actually fascinating. They did everything they set out to do except put a man on Venus. We got to the moon, and that was a huge mission. That was impossible 50 years ago. So yeah, I was really impressed with the speech. I liked his techniques of just holding on to the podium and looking straight into the audience and speaking from his heart. NASA is sending a rocket into space and is set to launch today, 10/6/2012, from Cape Canaveral, Florida, weather permitting. KennedySpaceCenter.com